Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So welcome to panel M. Our theme is using technologies to advance openness in the Arab states. So today when we think about technology, it will soon become obsolete by tomorrow, right? Do you agree with me? But I'm sure we have an array of excellent speakers today, and we are going to find out some solutions and answers to enable technologies in the scholarly arena, like in the scholarly retrieval and scholarly communication, etc. So to begin, we have three sessions today. I mean, like 3 presentations today. And at the end, we will have a question and answer session. Is that okay? So please hold on your questions. So the first presentation is a joint presentation, and one presenter is doing it online. Khairia Al-Mutadi, and she's a molecular biologist and leader in open science and academic publishing. Welcome, Khairia. And the second presenter is a cardiac surgeon, Dr. Rida Al-Okley, right? Okay, yes. And cardiac surgeon and a medical education expert. And their presentation title is Building the Future of Evidence, AI-assisted open access revolution in scientific publishing. So please welcome Khairia and Dr. L. Oakley. Give him an applause. Stage is yours.
Khairia, can you hear us?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
You can get started. You can share your screen.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes. Would you mind making it full screen?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kariel Mutardi, and I'm a managing editor of a new journal that's affiliated with the Libyan International University called the Journal of the Best Available Evidence in Medicine. The editor-in-chief of this journal is Dr. Ridal Oakley, and he's there with you guys today on this really interesting panel discussion. And I'm going to be making it online as I was not able to attend this interesting forum in person. I'd also like to give a special thanks to our co-author, Ghaith Al-Mahrik. He's the AI and software engineer behind our innovation, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it today. Today, I'll be letting you guys in on our vision, which is simple but ambitious, and it's to make the best available evidence freely accessible to every clinician, researcher, and policymaker across the globe. So in today's world, access to reliable evidence can literally save lives. However, barriers to knowledge are still persistent. Hence, this is what drove the launch of our journal, the Journal of the Best Available Evidence in Medicine, or JBAME, as a new open access, AI-driven scientific journal launched earlier this year in affiliation with the Libyan International University in Benghazi, Libya, and in collaboration with our publisher, Open Science Press. So let me start by setting the stage. The traditional model of scientific publishing is broken. It involves high publication fees, lengthy review cycles, and paywalls that continue to exclude researchers, especially those from low and middle income countries. The result is that brilliant science remains unseen, and clinical practice lags behind the latest evidence. So we asked ourselves, in a world of AI, can we harness that AI and help bridge the gap between the research and real-world application? And that question is essentially what became the driving force behind the creation of JBAME. So there's around 50,000 journals across the world, and most of them use a system that you may or may not be familiar with, which is called Open Journal Systems, or OJS. And this is essentially what we've decided makes submitting tedious. It makes formatting manuscripts take too long, and reviewer selection process is extremely inefficient. All of this slows down the publication of critical evidence, and this delay is what affects clinicians, policymakers, and ultimately patients. We wanted to change that, and we wanted to build a journal that is fast, inclusive, powered by AI and open research and open science principles, that's designed essentially by researchers for researchers. And instead of waiting for someone else to solve these problems, we decided to build our own solution, and that's Open Science Press. Open Science Press is a nonprofit publishing company that uses AI, which is the future, as a tool and as a strategic foundation. It allows us to rethink the entire publishing process, remove unnecessary delays, automating repetitive tasks, and freeing researchers to focus on what really matters, the dispersal of knowledge. Together, we launched JBAME as one of the first AI-driven open access medical journals in the region, demonstrating that open science can thrive when technology meets commitment. And as an author, you can essentially upload your work in any format. Our AI handles formatting, metadata, layout, and even reviewer suggestion for the editors. From an editor's perspective, we're also currently working on a way to implement AI to automate production of a completed manuscript, and that essentially streamlines the production, as the process within itself is extremely time-consuming, and it's not as important as the content of the articles themselves. So this automation allows us to focus human effort where it matters the most, which is on the quality and integrity of the science. However, we're also going to be reducing editorial burden and time to publication by automating these types of tasks. And importantly, this is important to note that AI will never replace human judgment. It's simply being used to accelerate and enhance it. So what makes JBAME different and relevant to today's research landscape? First of all, it's platinum open access, meaning that it's free to read and free to publish. There are no author fees and no paywalls. Secondly, our articles are concise, usually around 2,500 words, and they're written with a clinical focus because we want our readers to find usable evidence, not just academic theory. Third, the journal aims to bridge specialties, creating a scholarly exchange platform that connects clinicians, educators, and researchers across disciplines and health systems. So in short, we're not just publishing papers, we're trying to curate the best available evidence to inform real-world medical practice. So our focus is on articles that are written to be understood and applied across specialties, of course, even by non-specialists. And that's what truly makes it open access, in my opinion. Not just that it's free to read, which is something, of course, that's a big deal, but that it's free and easy to understand. And then we've also assembled an editorial board specialized in their field, and they're all working in various parts of the world. Their expertise, guidance, and commitment to evidence-based medicine are what really gives this journal its credibility and authority. And what's been amazing and what I'm pleased to unveil is the response. And this is all before our formal launch. We received around 30 submissions from researchers in the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, Libya, Egypt, and beyond. And this was all with very minimal advertising. In our first issue, we accepted 14 articles, and the rest were rejected because we're really trying to weed out and get the best articles dispersed. We're also currently working on releasing our second issue, which is actually due at the end of this month. And we approved about 10 articles for this next issue that we're really excited to publish and share. And this early trust shows the demand for authors to contribute to a platform just like JBAME. And I just wanted to show you some examples of the articles you can read in the previous issue that's out today. And this one is a research article on the cesarean section rates in Libya. Actually concluded that it is at 60.8%, which is amongst the highest in the world. And this is a review article we got from Cambridge University on AI and academic writing, which is a very relevant topic currently in the education field. And then this article is another one that's really relevant today, and it's battling a hot topic in public health, which is the opioid crisis, specifically in the United States. With only one issue out, our journal can be found in many important databases such as ResearchGate, Google Scholar, Semantic Scholar. It's indexed in Rode, Crossref, Index Copernicus, and I'm really excited to announce that recently, about a couple weeks ago, we got indexed in the WHO's Index Medicus. So our invitation is simple. We invite you guys to join us, whether as authors, reviewers, or collaborators. We welcome everyone who shares our belief in accessible and intelligent scientific publishing. JBAME is still growing. As I previously said, our second issue is coming out in October 2025. And we're continuing constantly to explore new ways as Open Science Press that AI can make open science faster, fairer, and more transparent. And together, we're not just running a journal, we're trying to build the future of evidence, a future where artificial intelligence helps open gates of knowledge rather than guarding them, and a future where every researcher, no matter where they are across the globe, can contribute and be heard. And this is the QR code of our journal website. Feel free to look through it, and we're excited. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today.
Well, thank you so much, Khairia, for the fantastic presentation. Actually, it's a really good work. As a researcher, I'm really facing difficulties due to the delay in publishing and the publishing workflow. So this AI-assisted journal system would be really fantastic. So it's just a beginning, and we are going to see a lot of sea of changes in this area. So I am sure you have a lot of questions regarding this platform and AI-assisted publishing workflow. So you are free to ask questions at the end. Can you please come on the stage? Yeah, sure, yeah. Or can I ask? Okay.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. What fields, I assumed it was the medical field, but you also had that one about AI and research that seemed more social sciences. What fields do you publish in?
So currently, the Journal of the Best Available Evidence is focused on medicine because it's evidence in medicine. However, Open Science Press is a publisher, and we're looking to publish journals in any field. The AI-assisted manuscript management is applicable to any field.
Kamal Bilham, was managing editor of directory of Open Access Journals. My first question is, I don't see the policy regarding the ethics about using artificial intelligence in your journal. Second question is about peer review process. I see in your slide that the AI assisted, they assign directly from your database of reviewer. So how, I mean that I think the human assist artificial intelligence can give the last word for the review of choosing. Maybe sometimes we can the artificial intelligence make error or to assign not manuscript to good person. So we can have help with artificial intelligence, but the last word to the real reviewer. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. So basically what I meant by that is that you have a manuscript, let's say it's about the opioid crisis. So essentially the most database that we use to look for corresponding authors is PubMed. So the AI is going to go through PubMed and look for similar topics and it won't send the manuscript. You have final approval and it gives you just a suggestion. So it's not going to send anything. It's all human led. However, like this part of where you would have to be searching for appropriate reviewers. And of course, you're inviting the reviewers once again. You're not just sending them the manuscript and you're telling them review this. You're asking them to become a reviewer for the journal, and there's an automated email that goes out to them based on their expertise or whatever. So it's human led, but the AI does the automated or repetitive, tedious
Regarding the
process.
ethics of AI use, Heidi, I
So
want to say,
Oh yeah, for the ethics of AI use, I just wanted to, of course, specify or completely like underline the fact that AI is never used to generate data or generate any of the information. And we screen every single manuscript for course accuracy based on peer review and plagiarism. However, yeah, that's it. We're not using it to generate any data or any knowledge, just to streamline the manuscript management.
Thank you. We will take one more question and then
Yes.
yeah.
Just I would like you to elaborate more about the editorial, yani fast editorial decision without yani causing any violation of academic integrity. Yani how are you gonna be that fast with keeping the academic integrity safe, unviolated? Can you elaborate more on that using AI? Is AI trusted? Yani especially when using AI to select peer reviewer or when it gives the AI a role in the reviewing itself.
sorry, maybe I'll take this one because AI doesn't actually, it recommends reviews.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
you, as editor in charge, you select which reviewer to send it to. In fact, one of the main difficulties we have, AI recommends up to 10 reviewers, but at least, and he give you even their ORCID address. ORCID, he goes to crawl to ORCID, he give you all the details from ORCID, from PubMed, and he will give you the information. But unfortunately, more than half of them, you will not have their email address. You probably have to spend extra time. So AI doesn't choose. He recommends to people who have published in the field in the last 5 years, and he will tell you, here's a list of 10 people who have published in this field recently, and it's up to you to choose which one to go for.
Are you mentioning this or clearly in your editorial policy in the journal? Is it clear, Yani?
It is highlighted, yes, of course.
Okay.
But I think so people sometimes they don't get the message. They just look at AI-assisted publishing. They jump to the conclusion that we're using AI to generate text and we're using AI to do the review. They don't usually go in the details and the guidelines.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm sure you will have more questions, but we will have a separate session at the end. You can ask at that time. So we will move to, thank you, Kyra. So we will move to the next presentation. Our next speaker is Rodrigo Pinto. He is the Chief Technology Officer at Zendi, Knowledge E. And is the chief architect of Zendi and its LLM companion, Zaya. So his talk is titled From Fragmented Access to Reliable Knowledge, Using Artificial Intelligence to Enhance Open Access Content. Please welcome Rodrigo Pinto. Stage is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very glad to participate in Forum. Rodrigo Pinto, I'm the CTO at Zendi. And as the title said, I'm gonna speak regarding open access and the challenges we face, as the title says, from fragmented access to reliable knowledge. And how can we leverage the use of AI to overcome these problems? We know that open access have been one of the most, if not the most, transformative movements in the latest years. It has removed paywalls, it has democratized research, but also, as we have learned throughout the years, at least the recent years, free to read does not necessarily mean accessible. It doesn't mean trustworthiness or even inclusive. And we will delve in these issues and the possible solutions throughout this presentation. Now, as you must know, more or less, at least 50% of the global research is now open access. So it is a revolution in democratizing access, definitely. But the problem is, the more data we have, the more challenges we face, in the sense that this data is not unified, this data is fragmented, there are different data sources, and the inconsistency keeps growing and growing. And to mention as well, language is also a barrier, right? And we'll see why. But there are many issues, and it's almost like a snowball effect. It's almost a paradox, because the more open access data we have available, the more challenges we are facing. Now let's talk about MENA and the visibility gap. And this is an interesting topic, and it's about the language. As we saw in the wonderful previous presentation, I could see two article examples, one about C-section in Libya, if I'm not mistaken, and you could notice those articles were in English, and I don't think English is the native tongue in Libya, unless I'm missing something. I miss my history classes, maybe. But I understand why, because if you publish, let's say, in your native tongue, you face a lot of challenges. Not everyone will read it. That will mean the impact of your research, as valuable as it can be, it will be less meaningful, less people reading it, it will rank less, and whatnot, right? And that's one of the core issues when it comes to accessibility, right? So we are forced, basically, to write in a common language, so to speak. So I will say that MENA region, I think we all agree, produces very valuable research, right? But if that research is written in, let's say, Arabic, it won't have the impact or outreach. But if it is written in English, it will, but you might be losing a lot of context, cultural context, or all the nuances of your original language. And it's an extra step, right? The person writing it is not a native speaker, even though it's good and encouraged to learn English. It's not enough. And a lot of people in your local countries might not have the access or the opportunities to learn English or any other common language. So, as I said, regional research impact gets underrepresented in citations and relevancy. Now, also let's talk about the fragmentation. There has been throughout the years wonderful initiatives. OpenAlex is one that a lot of you might be aware. It's an amazing initiative. You have Crossref, Duash, and endless initiatives that are doing a magnificent effort in getting these data sources curated and available to the best of their abilities. But we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions of records. and the human process is not enough. The data cannot be clean, curated, and you cannot account for each and every record. Issues like inconsistencies, duplicated records, typos, wrong authors, or misspelled authors, right? So that creates more problems. So as I mentioned at the beginning, you have the open access data, but the data is generating problems, and in some scenarios, it's not usable as it is. Right. It was that. And now, how can we fix these things, right? There has to be an effort or initiatives where we can do things and not limited to what I'm explaining here, the duplication of records, normalization of metadata, enriching identifiers, and connecting the data one another, connecting citations, connecting, correlating information, authors, journals, institutions, publishers, etc. There are a lot of initiatives, as we mentioned, but it's not enough. And there are a lot of work to do. And as we have in the previous slide established, human effort might not be enough because of the amount of data we're dealing with. Now, AI as the enabler. So we usually hear of AI as the typical generative AI, then chatbot, conversational, that you ask questions, it will generate, and the underlying problems that it brings, like changing the content, copyrighted content, hallucinations, and whatnot. But AI is more than that. And there are many models that are domain specific that can deal with specific issues. For example, when you are dealing with millions and millions of records and you cannot manually see if something is wrong, you cannot find a patterns, there are mechanisms, just to mention, it's not the scope of this talk, but just to mention, you have, for example, anomaly detection, AI, specific models. They don't speak, but they will point you to anomalies, things that even humans are not able to discover. I'm sure you have seen in the news, for example, that AI headlines like AI performed better in detecting cancer than doctors, right? By looking at some X-rays or and ultrasounds. The same happens with the data, right? What we as a human, no matter how good our reasoning skills are, domain-specific AI models, non-generative, can point us to anomalies in our data and how to fix them. So you can fix empty fields, records that doesn't even make sense, broken links, normalize your data, do language detection and language translation as well, but not in the standard sense. Language translation with context, meaning, and preserving the cultural nuances and intentions of a specific language. And also the linkage, the correlation between certain records that might have broken links, which is one of the most common issues in these big data sets. Now, this is one of the many things we can sort out through AI, and it's the multilingual discovery, right? And it's what I was mentioning before. Is the semantic understanding of these modern models. A lot of you have used Google Translate. You know, when you translate Arabic to English, when I translate Spanish to English, if the translation is really poor, it's not taking into account the context, the intention. It's not semantically rich, right? It's not taking into account what I will call the cultural slang. And it falls short and it's almost like a mechanical translation. Whereas an AI model can learn all the nuances of any specific language. And although, and I would like to hear after in the QA session, although it's not perfect, it's getting better as we speak. Tomorrow there will be a much better model. AI is moving really fast. But what will the result as of today are like outstanding, and it's getting even better and better. So imagine you can handle the cultural nuances of your language, the core of the meaning, the semantics, and most important, enable the semantic alignment between one language and the other. It's not only being able to translate the words, but translate the meaning and intention of one language to the other. Now, without going too technical, and this is just for the sake of an example, agentic AI, a lot of you, especially people with technical background, know this is the next best thing, and it's a very hot topic at the moment. We're not gonna, don't worry, we're not gonna delve into the coding or architecture and whatnot. But just to give you a specific use case of how can AI enhance the discovery, right? If let's say you have a student from a specific region, let's say a student from Libya, he's searching in, is French the language, Libya? English, okay. Okay, my mistake then. But let's assume he's searching something in French. French is the, no? Oh, so disregard what I said. But anyways, this student searched something in French, let's say. The student is from Tunisia, just to clarify. And that's a good one. So if they find something, let's say an advanced topic or literature or whatever, something specific, they might not get any result in any discovery tool as of now. But what if we put an AI layer on top of it, right? What if AI gets in between and said, okay, this is not returning any result. I'm gonna convert this into, let's say, English, Arabic to find something meaningful, retrieve that result, reason about it, and then answer to the user in the original language, the question mark. Preserving, as I was mentioning, all the cultural and semantical meaning and intentions of the original prompt, right? And this is a clear, specific use case that can enhance the problem of accessibility. Because no matter, as I said, you can have freely does not necessarily mean accessible, right? We have the data, now it's our job to enhance this data and make it available for everyone. Now, I will say that AI, it's only credible only if its actions are explainable, right? Because, and I heard a lot of questions about, and the understandable mistrust in the previous session about AI taking the decision, about the peer reviewers and whatnot. That's totally understandable. And I agree with the vision that AI is not to replace the process, the research or the discovery process, is to enhance it, which means that humans must audit the whole pipeline, the whole processes, etc. We need to be able to measure the accuracy. We need to come up with metrics to make sure, as humans, that the AI models that are serving us for a purpose are doing what we are expecting to do. We just cannot let things happen, right? And that's a work for librarians or anyone in charge of auditing these materials, make sure they account for biases, transparency, hallucinations, etc. Any common issue from AI. How long is it? I have time? 5? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'll skip it long. Sorry about that. All right. So I will skip it. So now this effort is affordable and scalable, right? Smaller institutions, mid-sized institutions can collaborate, right? Can agree upon a framework where it will be a federated model, not a centralized model. Even though we appreciate and it's more than welcome if there are more initiatives like OpenAlex, the data each institution owns can remain there, right? And build on top of that layers that will do the enhanced discovery and the enhancement of the data and validate. So it will be a collaborative effort on top. It's an initiative that each institution can take as long as all collaborate and coordinate together. And nowadays, the cost of AI is not a problem anymore. Models are highly optimized, quantized. There are so many techniques, prompting, knowledge distillation, etc. AI models, very advanced AI models, can even fit on edge devices. A lot of you use your AI from your phone, and that AI model usually runs within your phone without going through the internet. And the great thing is these models are fully open source, so the license is allows to modify, tune, adapt, and use it without any restrictions. Now, the last task is what I was mentioning before, measuring and constant improvement. We need to come up, all AI models have metrics, right? You cannot say, this is accurate by this percentage, this is not accurate. There are metrics that will account for how much of semantically meaningful a result is or not. Because there, as generative AI, for example, has many ways to answer something. So it's quite a challenge. We need to come with our own metrics to measure, for example, how much of the meaning of, let's say, the Arabic language in the MENA region in these models is preserved after agentic AI model translation. Because at the end of the day, right, we can only say that credibility is measured. It cannot be claimed. We cannot say we did it. We need to measure. If we want to improve those models and make sure they work for the most scenarios, we need to come up with metrics and make sure tasks like translations, curation, deduplication are actually doing what we're expecting in order to come up with a continuous improvement process. Now, the vision ahead. I will say, I don't think that our next mission is more data. I will say that's inertia that is coming, right? I will say our next mission is aim for towards meaningful understanding every time, making things more accessible and meaningful for the users, researchers, etc. In order for open research to become a bridge and not a barrier. All right, thank you very much. Sorry? Oh.
Thank you, Rodrigo. That was a fantastic presentation. Actually, when we think about artificial intelligence nowadays, generative AI, the peripherally, we always think, generating some content, right? So from Rodrigo's presentation, we understood what are the, arena for AI at the back end for the retrieval purposes. Traditional information retrieval has a lot of issues, and he explained well how AI can solve it. So give him a big applause. So please hold your questions. We will move to the also. Yeah, at the end. Anyway, we'll be inviting the presenters here. Sorry about it. Yeah. So now we will move to the third speaker. Please welcome Sterling Jensen from Mohammed bin Zayed University for Humanities. His presentation is from Concept to Humanity, a Community, Practical Insights in Building Collaborative Open Access Journals in the Middle East. Please welcome. Stage is yours.
Thank you, and thank you for the organizers and the speakers for the invitation, and also for you being here and for the content that you've been sharing. I'm going to give you my experience in the last 3 years as editorial manager of 3 journals that we have done with De Gruyter Brill at Mohammed bin Zayed University for Humanities. We publish in Arabic mainly. They are in applied linguistics, philosophical studies, and Islamic studies. And so we've been doing this for the last 3 years, like I said, and I would just say the overall experience has been very positive. It's raised the bar for the standard for publishing with the editorial boards, and it's kind of been a reality check for a lot of our faculty and for a lot of people about the high standards when it comes to double-blind peer review that a lot of people from our experience are not necessarily used to. They're used to peer review, right? But this concept of double-blind peer review, right, is a shocker for a lot of people, where you might think your WASTA or something like that is going to get you into the journal. And so I'm just going to give you a more transparent, just as based off of our experience for the last 3 years. So it's been very positive. It's been very positive, but it's also come with challenges. So at the university, the purpose for having the Opus Access journals and wanting to partner with Brill to do it was because Brill had high standards when it came to the editorial boards. They're also linked into the different indexes, and they could format and publish in Arabic. So we found that a lot of journals wouldn't do that. And what the interest was is people aren't incentivized to publish in Arabic, and you guys have talked about that. And a lot of authors aren't. But we also have so many authors in the humanities and the social sciences in the Arab world that don't have venues for publication. And a lot of times, what we've heard is, oh, it's because the translation isn't good. Well, a lot of times from our experience is that the quality of the research hasn't been the same standards as what you would have in an English speaking or a French speaking, or in one of their peer reviewed journals. And so what our idea was that, okay, if we have an Arabic speaking journal with a high standard, that will really push the standard of Arabic publications. And we knew that they were out there, but it was just how do we attract it? And so we wanted to first have a venue for our faculty members to be able to publish high quality articles, to be able to get on Scopus with Arabic journals, and also to have a larger readership, and hopefully be able to expand the research in Arabic so that people in the Arab world will be able to read about philosophical studies more, and our version of Islamic studies that is kind of unique to UAE, Abu Dhabi, justifications for certain things. And so we started, we got our editorial boards, a lot of the members of the editorial board. Now, Brill's requirement is there has to be diversity in gender, there has to be diversity in nationality and in institutions. And so we've had faculty from our university be on the editorial boards, but they're not on the advisory boards. But then we've had to go out and find, Arabic speakers that could be on the editorial board from diverse different backgrounds, and we've found it, and it's been very collaborative. Some of the challenges that we've found is again, I'm just talking from my own experience, is publishing and in the humanities on sensitive type of topics where the editorial board is in charge of making the editorial decisions and not a university or government body. And so how do you talk about issues related to Islamic studies or philosophical studies that might be very sensitive, where an editorial board might say, no, this is good research and we need to publish it. Whereas it might be seen as too controversial. Let's just say. That was one of my main concerns and concerns of some others at the beginning, but surprisingly, it hasn't been a huge issue. It hasn't been a huge issue. And so our main challenge has been getting high quality articles in Arabic. Our Applied Linguistic Journal has been able to do that. They've finished their 4th issue, was just published this month. The Islamic Studies has been getting lots of submissions in Arabic, but the quality of the research just hasn't been up to the standard. And so they've started publishing more and more in English. Even though it's easier to get book reviews, in Arabic, but the publications of Arabic, and it doesn't have to do with the sensitivity of the topic. It's because just the arguments and the editorial boards the editors have refused the articles just because of research methods and things like that. For the Philosophical Studies Journal, it's the same. We've published some articles in French, but mainly in Arabic. But it's a matter of trying to find, those that are willing to publish in Arabic. And again, just from our experience, the Arab authors that are capable of publishing in Arabic want money. This is Gulf. We want money. Where's the money? And peer reviewers, where's the money? And possibly because journals in the region have paid a lot of money for people, there's kind of like an expectation. And so from our point of view, until you get into Scopus and there's an incentive to publish because of promotion related issues, like one of the main challenges is that to get stuff published and the editorial process, people are expecting money. So you have to have a budget for that. And so the idea of being able to do it just purely off of academic interest, we haven't found that. It's a challenge for publishing in Arabic, because why would you publish in Arabic when you're going to have less citations probably? You want to be able to publish in English. And if you can publish in English, you're going to publish in English. But we're not going after those types of writers. We're going after writers that can do research and publish in Arabic. And again, there are many out there, but it's just a matter of, just attracting them and not asking exorbitant fees for it. Some of the benefits that we've seen is when it comes to Scopus, for example, when they do their training, they talk about the ethical aspect that people have talked about, and how do you choose the articles and how are they reviewed. The benefit that's come from working with Brill is that because of their high standards of the double-blind peer review process for publication, that means that we've had to be very transparent about the editorial process and have documentation for the double-blind peer review process. And so that's been a great benefit, I think, for building the credibility of the journal. It's linked to Brill's credibility in publishing. So that certainly has been a benefit. There's also been a benefit from indexing, since they're indexed in Islamicus, Index Islamicus, and other indexes. The Arabic articles, the readership has been a lot wider. So we're able to get statistics every year about the readership and downloads and where we're getting readership. And it's been not only just in the region, but places like Singapore, lots of Indonesia, places that are interested in these types of articles in Arabic. Let's see. Again, one of the other challenges that we find, and I alluded to this before, is that when it comes to academic writing, the academic writing styles that would be happening in English or in French or in other non-Arabic language is different. And so when it comes to your rhetoric and the way you do it and the way you write it, it's very, a lot of the papers that we receive, you have very short paragraphs, one-sentence paragraphs, several one-sentence paragraphs, right? It's not constructing the whole idea. And the citation practices of, rather than just, they'll just put all the citations at the very end of the paper rather than going through each time you're mentioning, the topic. And so, or whatever you're borrowing from someone. And so we've found it, we've had to do a lot of workshops, for example, for our faculty when it comes to academic writing in Arabic, just because the common practice that we've seen hasn't fit that academic practice that's kind of globally recognized. So we've had to have a lot of these types of workshops that have been useful for the faculty. But just to summarize, it's been a very positive journey for us. We're now going into our third year of publication. We've been able to receive enough submissions to definitely review. Sometimes we have to scramble for some of the journals to get enough qualified submissions for publication. But it's been very, very positive. And we believe that it will help raise the quality of research in Arabic and give opportunities for those that are writing in Arabic to have venues for getting their publications seen and recognized in the wider academic circles. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sterling, for your practical insights on open access publishing and collaborative open access journals and the challenges also. So give him a big applause. So now we will move to the question and answer session. May I invite the speakers to the line? Thank you for the insightful presentation. Now I'm sure they have a lot of questions. May I take the first question? All right, okay. So my question, I had a private chat with Dr. Rita. Actually, it's a fantastic platform, the Open Science Journal platform. So do you have any plan to make it really open? Like OJS, or do you have any plan to lease it out? So I would like to hear.
Najib, before I come to the answer, I think Kharia presented a fantastic presentation and made it very, it looks nice and simple. But really, I am a doctor who published many papers, close to 100 articles. And I've been through the OJS-based journal for so many years. Since my first paper was published, I think, in probably 1990 in The Lancet. It was a letter to the editor from the days where you just write it in a typewriter You put an envelope, send it to the Lancet. 1 week later, you get a letter of acceptance. Then we've been through this electronic version of submission, and it is difficult. It's not easy. I think anyone who tried OJS-based publication, he will, I don't know whether they will agree. I hope they will. I maybe, unless I'm unique or have some issue of dyslexia, but I can assure you I don't. But I had difficulty with, especially if you have to do the same publication over and over to different journals. Because when you publish, you aim very high often. You aim for Nature or whatever, Lancet, you get rejected, you go down a little bit, you get rejected. By the end of the 5th or 7th publication, you have often either you give up completely and forget about the paper and become forgotten, or you go low down and you keep trying. And then when AI came, I thought AI should really help with this issue. And it took me 1 year to find an engineer who is really interested in AI. I spoke to people who they teach AI in university, but every time I come and tell him, okay, I need to use AI to facilitate and streamline the issue of publication, he'll say, okay, I have a student who will create a chatbot for you to help you with the publication. But it's not the same. Then when I found Ghaith, which was a fantastic find, really, totally fortuitous. He just finished his studies in Egypt, and he came, and he is really crazy about AI. He will work until late hours. And I think in the first 8 months, he created more than 100,000 coding for the system, which is very tough, I think, in coding language. Of course, you have to make it work. You could write a lot of lines, but the problem. And I sat with him and Kharia and 2 other people in our department on daily basis. Honestly, really from 9 o'clock in the morning until 2 to 3 in the afternoon to get the system perfected from an end user point of view. I saw it as an end user, number one. I also saw it as an editor. And fortunately, I didn't have much experience as an editor. The only editorial in charge experience was a newsletter from our university in Singapore back in the 2001 called Pulse. Then I was on the editorial board of a number of journals, including prestigious American Journal of Society of Artificial Organs. But I was never an editor in charge. So I had the experience of being an end user. Then through this, I had now the experience of being an editor and a co-editor in chief with my colleague from Spain, Professor Carlos Mestras. And really, I think it was very hard work for so many months. And still, actually, there are certain things we're ironing on daily basis to make the system run perfectly. And so far is really the platform is working well. The reviewer portal, the author portal is working, and every time we come, we finalize it. So it has been a hard work. It has been a hard journey. To make it for free, I don't know. We paid a lot of money at the same time, in addition to the hard work. But we are, to be honest, we are also, to be frank with you, we are obliged to make our journals now platinum, because no one will be interested to pay you for a new journal. And I think you probably have had the experience. But we are also fortunate that our university in Libya is actually sponsoring the publication or the cost of publication of the journals. But the publication is an independent body. The editor-in-chief is the person who called the last shot, and he's in charge and take responsibility for each and every one. So yes, I think we're still open to keep it, to carry on and being platinum, but the temptation is huge, because once you get Scopus indexed, and if you know for every article you can take $3,000 to $4,000, sometimes $12,000 if you are Nature caliber, it's not easy to resist, really, especially if you have 30 or 40, 50 journals under you. So it needs a lot of, I think only time will tell. But we'll be happy to lease the platform at the moment and allow other journals to try it out. I think even for, I will be happy to give it for free even for the first year and see how it goes. If you like it, you keep it, but then you have to pay. If you don't, then you have lost nothing. But okay, maybe I stop here. I have a question, but later on.
Thank you, Doctor.
Hello. Thank you so much for the insightful discussion today about AI in the knowledge discovery. I have a question to Rodrigo. Based on what you discussed with us, you know, the countries produce a lot of research data, especially in UAE. The data is produced, research data with a lot of effort, lot of money, but there is no unified repository, or this is duplicated in universities and medical field, defense. So do you think that agentic AI can do any better in the research data management to construct a unified repository for the research data and use it for the national purpose?
Excellent question. I will say not only agentic AI. Agentic AI, I said it will help, but as I was mentioning, you have domain-specific models that are very lightweight, that can be installed in even edge devices, that will help you with things like anomaly detection, duplication, things that typos in author names, linking data one another, right? I do believe, even though that's beyond the scope of my presentation was the opposite, a federated initiative, but also I think it's very important. I would say it's paramount that UAE and the MENA region comes with an initiative similar as OpenAlex, etc., for the content, and especially the content in the original language as well, right? Every content, right? And leveraging the use of AI to deal with the language, to deal with the inconsistencies in the data, curating data, handling duplications and whatnot. I think it's a paramount effort, and it will be a very interesting initiative to take on board, definitely.
It's great. Great question. Maybe Khalifa University can start this initiative and partner through partnerships to bring all the repositories together. So it's a fantastic idea. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we'll need to work on that. I've got two questions. Thanks for all the presentations. Great presentations. A question for you, Sterling, and then a question for Rodrigo. I'll ask both, and then we can go through it. You mentioned about the challenge of submissions when it comes to local new journals. How do you see this evolving over time, and how do you think these challenges could be overcome? That's the question for you. And for Rodrigo, you mentioned about the data and unifying the data and cleaning the data, even when it comes to open access. There's, like, as was mentioned in yesterday's sessions as well, research ethics, research integrity is becoming a very hot topic. How do you plan on dealing with article retractions, for example, on the discovery, but also on the answering from the LLM? So these are my two questions.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, promoting it and so that we get more submissions is a challenge. What we've been doing is we've been working with the editorial boards and also the advisory boards, just to make sure, when we chose them, we thought they'd have their circles of influence, right? Now, the challenge is finding those that are willing to publish in Arabic. Okay, can publish in Arabic, are willing to publish in Arabic. Now, we do have budget to translate original work if it's done in English or in French. That we will if the editorial board thinks we really want this in Arabic, then we'll translate it in Arabic. But it's through word of mouth with getting it's starting with the editorial boards. Second, in our partnerships, going to book fairs, that's one. The university is involved in a lot of book fairs. And so they take the issues and they use that at the book fairs. But also in just the university's outreach with partners and other, other universities and institutions that we work with. We let them know. And then we've started getting submissions, right, from Russia, from Indonesia, from places where we're already doing, work in Islamic studies or philosophical studies with them. And then they find out about the journal and then they let their students know about it. But yeah, it's just, for us, it's just a matter of word of mouth, going to book fairs, going, with our partners. And again, like everyone else, once you get on Scopus and then you see that you can publish in Arabic, we're assuming that that's really going to help with submissions.
All right. So my answer will be in 2 stages. I will say initially would be the process of curating the data, linking data from different data sources and using third-party services and whatnot to be able to properly label all the records that have been retracted. That's one. But let's say you are using a discovery service, a library, digital library, whatever. And you have all that good data, but you're reading a paper and it turns out that paper was retracted yesterday, right? That is when agentic AI comes very handy because normal RAG AI is good at retrieving data from pre-index records, whereas agentic AI can deal with real-time data. And also, you can even make it a predictive model, right? If you want to make it more sophisticated, so you don't need to query over and over again, is this retracted, yes or no? A model could, with enough training, a domain-specific model could predict what are the chances that this model could be potentially retracted, right? And then verify. So I think that problem can be through AI very efficiently tackled.
Any other questions?
I have one question. How did you manage with the issue of endogeny? Yes.
What way?
The number of articles being published by the editorial board or advisory board or their staff or associates.
We haven't had, not, when it comes to the university, we encourage the university professors, but they know that it's a double blind. And so just because they're a university professor doesn't mean that they're going to get published. And that's kind of been a hard blow for some people, especially if you're a full professor and you think you're the top on a certain issue and you submit an article. I mean, we even have chief editors that when we are looking for people who we think are capable of doing it, the worry is this person's not going to speak to me for a few years if we don't publish their article. So I'm afraid to even ask them because it's a rigorous editorial process and they're just not used to that. They're just not used to that in some ways. And so we have certainly not lacked in submissions in Arabic. We've been getting lots of submissions all over the Arab world, but they just haven't been publishable for us, or they're not the scope of the journal. But when it comes to editorial board members, they're not overwriting. We might have one from an editorial board. I think we've had an editorial board member, maybe one, or the chief editor. I think he's written one. But we've had faculty, right? And so it's I don't feel like it's an academic incestuous type of.
We've been very lucky, actually. We had to postpone papers from the editorial board,
yes,
and to the next issue because otherwise,
yes,
the endogeny rate would be too high.
One challenge we've had is not having the same author for 2 issues consecutively, right? So we'll have some people that are really good and they'll want to publish in Arabic, but we're like, no, we can't have the same author. I don't know. I have to get clarification, but our assumption is not having, right, the same author consecutively, for two issues. We have to wait.
Just one point I forgot to mention that we did actually start with OGS. We wanted, but I wanted AI to get OGS to work as an AI agent, more or less. And after the first 6 to 8 weeks, I think we realized this is not going to work. We tried. He did actually, worked very hard trying to get the OGS journal submission system and management system to work as an AI oriented process. But after so many weeks of work, he realized it's not going to work. Forget it. So he said, the only way you have to give that all up and start from new. Then one of our advisors, who are the experts in OGS, he said, you cannot do that. If you do that, no one will see your publication or your journal. It may be easier for you now to get the submission process and the reviewers identified and get your production process automated and all that. But when it comes to the crawling, they call crawling something, I don't know, I'm not an expert in this. But the way you're, in short or in layman term, the way your journal will be seen or be visible to the web will be very limited. But we're extremely surprised to see the visibility of our journal is far superior to the standard. We have our own university journal also being published for 7 years by a different publisher. But if you go to Semantic Scholar, for example, and you put both journals, you'd find all the 14 papers published in April in our journal listed, but from other journal, you find them from 3 or 4 years ago. The papers published this year and last year are not even visible. So it's been actually, it worked out to the opposite to what the advisor said. So if you have an advisor in the AI period, you probably have to take what they say with a bit of salt, with a pinch of salt.
So it's an important point. Yeah, all the best for your efforts to make it more visible. Any more questions? So I have one question to Rodrigo. So you explained about how AI can help in record duplication, metadata normalization, language detection, and entity linking, etc. So we want to know your experience in implementing those in Zendi platform. So you haven't talked about that. What is the challenges you faced and how successful it is now?
Okay. It's not the purpose of this presentation to talk about Sandy. I don't want to make it about that, but I'm more than happy to answer about the challenges. Actually, thanks to agentic AI, we have put together an architecture that is super, super flexible, meaning that we want to test models or fine-tune models, for example, for translation. We just implement the portion of an agent that is delegated to a supervisor, because the agentic AI orchestration gives you a lot of flexibility. And I see this not only as for Sandy, but for institutions, universities, as a great opportunity to be able to quickly implement prototypes and test and validate those prototypes as a potential implementation to solve many, many issues and challenges when it comes to the data and especially open access data.
Thank you, Rodrigo. So do you have any questions for panelists?
I just, Zendi, I was looking it up and it seems I just wasn't super familiar with it. What can you just, I mean, if you don't mind, maybe everyone knows about it, but how does it help the researchers?
Yep. Well, there are many ways to define Sandy, and I always use the least conventional way that is easy to understand for everybody. I use an analogy. I remember I used it also with Cameron, the analogy of I see Sandy, at least in its conception, as the Netflix of scholarly content, right? Because for a flat fee, you get access to scholarly content. What does this mean? If you are not affiliated to a big university or a research labs like Bell Labs, Google Labs, right, that they will provide you, they will pay for your content. Or if you are a part of a developing or underdeveloped country, in which your institution won't give you enough content. For a flat fee of a couple of dollars, you will get unlimited content to this literature. So for us, it's an ongoing effort in the front of the paywall content through agreements to make this content more accessible and affordable, plus the whole effort that I was mentioning with open access data to curate it, make it more accessible for everybody anywhere in the world, including underdeveloped countries that might not have the possibility of learning a second language and might not have the possibility to have institutional content whatsoever. So now, let's say that was like the phase one of Zendy and the main purpose. Around it, and with the emergence of AI, actually, our initiatives were a little bit before the emergence of AI, before ChatGPT and whatnot. We realized that adding an ecosystem of tools around Zendy will help this process by enhancing and expediting the research process, making things easier for the end user in terms of accessibility and how to carry out a research in a meaningful way and in a very efficient way. Thank you.
Thanks for the second chance. It's again about Zendy. Zendy, it's only the it's only the open content or the content from the subscribed journals?
So it's both open access content and premium content. The open access, we have different plans, but in a nutshell, the plan that provides you the open access is free for life. So you have access to everything, including to a certain extent access to our AI tools, right, to carry out your research, but only accessing the open access content. We would love to have all the content available, but obviously we need to pay for the licenses for the premium content. But what we are making with premium is make it affordable, obviously, and accessible for everybody.
See, that's a great initiative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doctor, do you have any final comments?
No, thank you very much.
All right, yeah. A big thanks for all the speakers. That was a fantastic session. Give us a big applause. And thank you for great questions and attending the session. Thank you.